Welcome to the Powerful Vulnerability Podcast, where we believe in the transformative power of storytelling from the heart. I'm Dr. Ashley.
And I'm Catherine Russler.
We are so glad you're here. Many stories here are extraordinary.
And some carry quiet wisdom.
All teach us. Welcome back to the Powerful Vulnerability Podcast. Today, we are joined by Alagie Jammeh. Alagie is a political asylee. His uncle, who was the president and dictator of his native Gambia for 20 years, threatened Alagie after he expressed support for human rights while in the U.S. for college. He previously worked as the 2020 Almami Cyllah Human Rights Fellow at Amnesty International USA, as well as in think tanks and on Capitol Hill. He holds a master's from the George Washington University Elliott School of International Affairs, focusing on security policy and conflict resolution, and a bachelor's in global studies from the University of California, Santa Barbara. Alagie is a native speaker of Mandinka, Wolof, and Jola, and also speaks Foni, Fula, and some French and Arabic. Alagie lives in Washington, D.C. with his wife and 3-year-old son and is an avid fan of Manchester United, the LA Dodgers, LA Lakers, and New England Patriots. Welcome, Alagie. We are so happy that you could join us today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Beautiful day. So also nice day to talk to some friends.
Alagie, could you tell us about growing up in the Gambia and about your family life there?
Yeah, it was nice growing up in the Gambia. In many ways, I came from a big family because I grew up as a Muslim. My dad married about 4 wives. So in the family, we have about 26 children in the house. So it was chaotic when I was growing up because there's so many kids around. A lot of us fighting for the same thing, same affection from our dad. It was difficult in many ways because my parents got divorced later on when I was about 6, 7. After the divorce, I was sent to a village to be with my uncle, other uncle who's not the president. So I was in the village for a large part of my life growing up. So it was difficult because my other two brothers from the same mom get to stay in the city, but I get to go to the village because the relationship with my dad wasn't very good. My dad never acknowledged me as his son, so it was this son doesn't look like me, so it's not my son. So that kind of culminated with the abuse of my mom because my dad thinks I am not his son. The abuse started from there on until my parents got divorced eventually. My dad woke up one day in the middle of the night and decided that my mom doesn't need to be in the house, so he needs to check her out of the house. And instead of waiting till the morning to get her out, he decided it was in the middle of the night that she need to leave the house. So on the way home to an uncle's house, got into a big accident, car crash. I was fine. My mom wasn't fine. She was injured, heavily injured. My little brothers, some of them still have the big scar on their faces. So it was really tough. And the driver of the car died in the crash. So it was tough. From there on, I've hated my dad from that stage on to today. It kind of destroyed, not destroyed, but changed my life in many ways. How I look at all, how I see relationship, how I see marriage, how I see everything. It kind of contributed to how I interact with people because of that trauma that I suffered from childhood. But I'm also grateful to kind of have that experience because I get to see what family actually is. It's was tough, but you grow up in that kind of environment and then get to where you are today. You're kind of grateful for it. But it was it was an experience. It was an experience. It's not many people that have seen an experience, but I am grateful to be alive.
Were you your mother's oldest child?
Yes.
I mean, psychologically, that's a lot for a child that age to suddenly be thrust in a position to be the oldest child, have a mother you're worried about, and younger brothers that need extra care and trajectory of
I think for me, generally, when I think about a time period in my life, it was it was a time he didn't any consequence for that. It was those things like how can and treat his own family the way my family was treated and then get away with it. Have no consequence from the family members or the consequence from the government, have no consequence from nobody. In many ways, I still think my mom, she has this pain that goes away, pain, back pain, and a lot of these things that she has to go to. She was in the hospital for about 5 months from that accident. Forward, and I will never see her again. It's kind of feeling of abandoned. I was sent to the village without my mom, um, and everybody was, because I was sent to a village that has also many other kids, who cousins and ethnic. Nobody's gonna treat you any different. All those kids have their moms, and then we care about them. So you don't have your mom with you here, so you have this abandonment of, there is nobody here. In perspective, many ways as a child, I grew up knowing that okay, there's this feeling that I have to build something for my own. There is nobody who's going to come to your rescue, give you something. I build that resilience about self reliance, to kind of hey, your mom is still gonna come out of the hospital, and your dad says you're not his son. You're here as a favor to your dad, not as a favor to your mom, or as a favor for you as a child. But you know, so kind of understand that, um, you realize that get to a point where when I first grade school was about when I was about I started school when I was 12. Started reading when I was about I was when I started, you know, knowing how to actually, so at that age, say to myself, other kids have advantages. Their family owns something. When they don't do, they will have something to fall back on. You know, somebody is going to take care of them. For me, I am in that situation. I am here. Everything that I have to build myself. Started taking school seriously, doing well in school, so making sure that okay, everything that I own from here on out is going to be either I work for it or not. So I decided to work really hard in school. Like that's the only avenue for me. I don't think I will be a farmer. I don't have a land because my dad, I own a land over there as his son, so I don't have any entitlement to that particular property. So for me, having be the best in school, be the best student, anything that so my head down, got a bunch of scholarships. So primary school to middle to high school, did so well in high school, got a applied to school in West, and then did well, and then kind of that.
We understand that you were the first person in your family to seek a higher education. What made you want to do so, and why did you pick California?
School for me is kind of like building my something for myself. That's kind of how I from when I was a kid. I kind of the only place that I see that is a future for me is school. I said to myself, I prepared myself in that way. I'm like, I don't have land. I don't have family who care enough to give me some piece of land over here for me to do some business or anything like that. I'm like, everything that I owned from here on out, is going to be me. I work hard, I get it. I don't work hard, I don't get it. I see the school as a place for me to kind of build something for myself, because I said to myself, if I do well in school and people see that, even if sometimes they're not related to me, they will see that this kid is smart. I'm gonna give him opportunities to get more education or to get a job at a particular, company. After middle school, I did well in entrance exam to high school. and somebody gave my exam certificate to my uncle, who I wasn't familiar with. I wasn't close with the president. Said, hey, this a kid from my family who actually is doing well in school. I'm giving him a scholarship to go to high school, to the best high school in the country, to continue his studies. So I have that opportunity to come back to the capital. I studied in the capital and then did well in high school. Did well in the exam, the big exam to go to college or to go to anything. After when he sees my exam results, like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to go to college. I want to start in do something to my life. And then it's like, okay, I will get back to you. And meantime, I will give you a job in one of my companies over here to kind of deal with finance issues at my company. So I was working there as a sales manager in one of my uncle's big companies. And then eventually one day he came in contact again. It's like, you still here? I'm like, yeah, I'm still here. It's like, oh, you still want to continue doing this job that you're doing? I'm like, no, I want to go to college. It's like, okay, get me the school that you want to go to. Apply if you get accepted. I promise I will pay for everything. So I decided I'm gonna go to US. I looked at many schools around the country over here, but California was attractive to me mostly because movies that I'd seen as a child. I thought when I was applying, I applied to a school in California. So I thought California is like a city. I can go anywhere that I wanted to go to. I can go to Hollywood. I can see all these things. I thought that's what I was coming to do. Beautiful. So I applied to this university, this community college that I got accepted in, Santa Maria. And there's this community college in Santa Maria. That's kind of where I started. I thought I was coming there. I was disappointed in many ways. Like, God damn, this place. But it's nice. It's nice in many ways because it's different. And then the food over there was not like our food, but it's similar because it's Mexicans eat a lot of rice too. So I stayed, but I got homesick for a while. But I also realized that I cannot go back to Gambia because if I go back to Gambia, it means I failed. Not just failed the people, but I failed myself. So I worked hard. I do 2 3 years. After that, I then applied to a university. I applied to many universities. I got accepted to most of them. But the one university that I applied to that I really wanted to go to was UCLA. So I get waitlisted for there. I felt like a failure in many ways. Even though I got accepted to UC Berkeley and HSP San Diego and all those UCs in California, I feel like I failed. I'm like UCLA. It's like one university that most people in the Gambia knows about. So if I go to university, if I go to UCLA as a school, my mom would be proud and everything would be like, yeah, talking to bragging to our friends that, hey, my son goes to UCLA. I cried for like weeks. Not going to UCLA was a big disappointment for me. But I am happy that I went to UC Santa Barbara though, because this university is big, but not big enough, not big like UCLA. But I thought, it's okay to go to UCSB, more communal based kind of university. Everybody knows everybody, and everybody is just helping each other out. So kind of thought, yeah, I would do that. And then my thought was go there and then transfer after 4th year. So I did it after 4th year. I loved it at UCSB, and the people are nice. It kind of opened my eyes to so many things. And then my time at UCSB was so life changing in many ways because growing up, I grew up as respecting authority, respecting adults, respecting experts. At the university, it kind of gave you that opportunity to think for yourself. You don't have to rely on what someone says as the fact and actual fact. You were taught to question every single thing. So in there, I thought to myself, there is so many things I question in my life. When I first came, I was praying every single day, 5 times a day. And then at the university, I kind of said, why am I praying? Am I praying because I wanted to pray, or am I praying because I've been told this is what you needed to do? So I started questioning everything, when it comes to rights, human rights, gay rights, other rights, women's rights. I started questioning every single thing about my upbringing. I started questioning every single thing about what my uncle was talking about, Gambian politics, questioning about what my dad or my family or every single thing, even though I will have this, just casual conversation with my mom about certain things. I will have this conversation with her. I was like, what would you say if someone that you care about, someone that you really, really, really like, someday come to you and tells you they believe in certain things that you think or someone or the Quran told you is bad or is haram or is whatever. Would you still want to be friends with them? It's like, yeah, I would, because our friendship, I would imagine our friendship is bigger than what they believe in. Okay, like, but what about same-sex marriage? It's like, well, that's totally different. I'm like, how so? Tell me. Tell me how, someone that you care about, someone that you see as a child, someone that you see as a human being, and then they're a good person. They did everything by the book, but they decided they love someone different than you love. What would you say? It's like, that's complicated. And many times I start a conversation like that. That's where our conversation will stop because she doesn't want to engage in that kind of conversation. So we will start it there. But I persisted in having that conversation. And eventually she said, I don't know what I would do because I've never been in a situation like that. Um, I'm like, but I am in a situation like that as a guy right now. School, one of my friends who actually really, really nice to me. He's been helping me settle down over here in America and then doing everything for me when I first arrived. But I didn't realize that they are gay. It's like, do I stop being friends with them? At first I did for a few days. I thought my religious told me, my religious belief have this thing that you cannot be friends with them. So after 5 days thinking about how I miss talking to this guy, how I miss having this conversation, how I miss doing every single thing, that normal stuff that we do together, I'm like, how is this okay? You know, So I went back to him. I said, I'm sorry I treated you this way. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with my religion and then the way I was brought up. But I would like to know more how I can support you or how I can do all these things that doesn't seem weird in many ways. And then, it started telling me about the normal stuff. It's like, just treat me like a friend. That's it. You don't need to worry about my sexuality or who I like and what I like. Just treat me as you have no idea who I am. My sexuality. Just continue treating me the same way. You don't have to have a special treatment. That kind of changes my mind about certain things. Then in my country, there is being gay is illegal. Like I could say something about this thing because I experience this. I have a gay friends. I have all these things. So therefore, I need to speak up because there are gay people in the Gambia who feel like they can speak, they can love who they wanted to love, they cannot do anything that they wanted to do, and they would like to see a support from someone from the president's family. So I decided this is a good place to start. I'm going to start with a message about on my Facebook page that human right, everybody deserves to be treated equally. It doesn't matter who you love, who you care for, and what your sexual orientation is. And boom, it went viral. People started calling me how I betrayed my uncle, how I betrayed the entire Muslim faith, everything else. It was relentless. It was relentless abuse of mind, relentless abuse of people blowing up my phone. Even family members calling me to say, "Hey, don't consider me your family." At one point, I was so close to just ending my own life. I came this so close. I went to pier in Santa Barbara night just to just end it because my family wasn't talking to, even my mom wasn't talking to me. Nobody wants to talk to me. And then I don't have a lot of friends in California to kind of lean back on. So it was difficult. It was difficult for a moment. I came close. I didn't do it because on the verge of doing it, I have one friend who texted me. They say, "How are you doing?" That's it. How are you doing? Um, I'm like, yeah, somebody actually cares about actually how my I came down, went home. I would die most of the time, and then go to school, and then my scholarship money is supposed to arrive, and then nothing came. Um, my uncle asked me to go back to Gambia to face the consequence of my doing. I'm like, that's like killing myself. Only in this sense, somebody's gonna kill me. I'm not gonna go. So I resisted. And then they thought, well, you cannot survive because eventually you have to eat. Eventually um, you have to live in a house and you have to pay rent. I had a car at the time. Slept in my car. I'm like, I'm gonna sleep in my car. I'm not gonna go to Gambia. I slept in my car for so long. I will sleep in the parking lot at the university. I will go to the gym, and then have a shower at the gym, put my clothes back on. So that's kind of how I lived for 6 months at the university, sleeping in my car. Eventually, I got a knocked on my door at one of the car parking lot at the university by a police. It's like, it's illegal. I don't want to arrest you, but I want you to go ask for help at the university. They have resources at the university. I want you to go ask for help. It's like next time somebody might not be too nice to you, they will arrest you if somebody else sees you. So that gave me an opportunity to go to the university international students office. I went there, asked, tell them my situation, and then I got so much support from international students office. They're like, "What can we do? How can we help?" To some points in the university. The university came together big time for me. Then there was this article written at the university newspaper. From there on, they created a GoFundMe and so many students helped me out. Um, I was able to graduate. After graduation, they gave me a job at the university as an advisor to international students. I did that for a while. At the university, they provided me a lawyer for my asylum process. So that's kind of how I get my asylum.
My question is, when you made the decision to stand up publicly for your friends and people you didn't know, did you have any sort of sense how radically it might change your life? Did you have any sort of sense that you might become a political asylee?
No, no. There are some things that you do based on just conviction about certain things. You like take a risk because I have taken risk all my life. I'm like, this is kind of how I grew up. I've been given small odds to survive, to come out of that kind of family structure and to be where I am. There is so many things that went my way, some by accident, some by just pure hard work, and some people believe in it. It also kind of tell me it might go anyways. It might go the way it will go, but it should not stop you from doing what you think is right. So I'm like, I have this opportunity to 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 put a spotlight on something that is people are not talking about in the Gambia, and with my family name and everything else, if I put my name on this thing, um, I mean, to be honest with you, when I first wrote that thing, and then I got so blowback about it, I immediately deleted the message on Facebook. But I went back and said back and think, I'm like, did I do something wrong? Because you have this feeling that your mom is not talking to you, that your brothers or your family members are not talking to you. Maybe one of them is right. But later I think about it, I'm like, but maybe they're all wrong, Maybe they are all ignorant about this particular topic. They don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about it either, but I have a better understanding about the situation because I have a friend who was gay. So I have a better understanding. Most of them don't have that kind of opportunity to know someone who is gay. Like, what would you say for my friend to kind of start this fight and then immediately back away, and then like it's your friendship might not feel genuine, can kind of feel like fake and stuff like this. I'm like, I'm not fake in anything that I do. This is something that I believe in. I have to fight for it. I have to stand my ground on it. I did. And then for many years, I still don't talk to some of my family members. For many years, who it was difficult. But I have this belief that I went through this process of my dad not wanting me as a child. You know, I was able to deal with it, able to kind of have a life without it. So I can deal with this thing. I can handle it. If my family doesn't want to talk to me, that's okay. I am going to continue doing what I'm doing. Have a new family here because family is not just blood related. It can be anybody. So I thought I'm going to build my own family. Yeah, I have a sister who is white, incredibly smart lady who taught me about American life, about everything that I know now, how to deal with certain situations. She was so instrumental in my understanding of American culture on how to go about it, how to navigate it. So I was grateful. I'm like, she's my family. She's everything right here. She's still in my family. My wife, on a vacation to Vegas to see her every other year to kind of see how she's doing and her family over there. So it's the belief accidental. You kind of realize that if you're doing something good, there's going to be people who will support you. There are going to be people who are not going to support you because of it. So you have to make a decision. Who are you as a person? You believe in stuff that you're fighting for, or you just wanted to do them because they look nice or they look convenient for you? Some good stuff don't come easy. This is a fight that I'm willing to do. I don't need to go back to Gambia because I have my green card. I know if I go back to Gambia at a time, even without my uncle putting me in jail, but the people itself, the hostility that I have from people, I'm like, somebody's gonna just kill me without even getting to the police. You know, like it's not gonna be the police who kills me. It's gonna be some random dude or random people, who thinks they're doing the righteous things, who thinks they're doing some God walk, will just hold you and then kill you.
Now that your uncle is no longer in power, and since it has been a while since all of these things happened, I know that you recently went back to Gambia. Can you tell us about that
It was
experience?
scary. I am not gonna lie to you. It was scary because you don't know what to expect. But it also been so long before when my uncle left office in 2016. So it has been long enough time because there's so many people with the same kind of name like me. It's been too long for people to kind of still remember that story. So I'm just gonna, because my mom has been sick for a while. I'm like, I'm not gonna sit here and then my mom is gonna die without me seeing my mom for 15 years. I have to go and take the risk of just seeing how she's doing. I can walk my way through the airport because there's so many people have the same name and last name. It's a very common name. So I was ready to go in quietly, see my mom, how she's doing, and then left. That's kind of how it went. I went to the airport. I went in through the airport, and then nothing came up. I went to the hotel, see my mom. Few days, didn't go out anywhere. Stay in the hotel. My mom is there, and then after a few days, and then just left. And I was scared. I was really scared, but I'm grateful that I was able to get out without anybody. So that was risky, but I'm not gonna take that chance again. She was scared when I was coming. It's like, I want to see you before I die. I want to kind of, because we talk on WhatsApp a lot, but I wanted to touch you and see how you see that. So it was mostly crying, enjoying and talking about life, and grateful that we were able to hug and then able to. So that was the main point of it, was a risk because I had a small kid at home. I'm like, risk assessment thing before you do something like that. It's very dangerous. Knowing that you have a wife and then have a year-old kid at home. That's a risk that I'm never going to take again. She's the main inspiration. I consider myself a good person, not mainly because the community that I grew up in is just mainly because of my mom. I don't treat people differently because I've seen my mom suffer. I've seen my mom get beat so many times. She fights. She fights to be alive. Spend 6 months in the hospital fighting for your life, not because you want to leave, but you want to see your kids grow up to be somebody.
You sent us a narrative about your journey and learning to navigate a new culture, and you ended with a powerful statement about the many parts of your identity. Implied in your statement is a firm resistance to being boxed in. Do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, because in the Gambia we have about 15 tribes. Most of these people, most of this community have their own language, have their own food, have their own way of doing certain things. Growing up in the city, you kind of appreciate it. I was able to speak most of those languages. I was able to understand most of those cultural differences and then adapt to those cultural differences. And then when I came here, it was a little easier dealing with a lot of different cultures with different people. In the sense that, okay, I came from a community that is very diverse when it comes to culture, when it comes to food, when it comes to language. And I was able to navigate those things. And so when I came here, it kind of make it a little easier to deal with.
You mentioned the loaded question, where are you from? And you talk about how do you answer that if you're from so many places, your people are from so many places, so many cultures, you speak so many language, and you talk about navigating that question.
Yeah. I moved a lot. I lived in the city as a little kid, and then moved out of the city, and then went back to the city again, and then came here, lived by myself, and in my head that was navigating that whole system, and then realizing that hey, everywhere can be home. Every place can be home. It depends on how you make it. Like you were able to make the village your home. It hasn't been easy. You were able to, as a child, you were able to adjust and have a meaningful life, learn a lot of things. I am in this city that I don't want to be part. I don't want to be in. I mean, sometimes my experience in Santa Maria was so weird in a sense. I go to the restaurants and everybody look because I am a black person. And there are some communities, that community, it's like if you're lucky you will see two black people in that city. And when you go to the restaurant, everybody is staring at you. People look at you differently. At the beginning I was, just weird about it, but then I kind of realized it's not their fault. They've never seen someone like me. Um, you know, I'm sure if a white person or someone would have, with a different color went to my village, people are going to stare too. I'm like, I wasn't offended by it. It was just weird. There was this one time I was getting to the bus, and then he's just curious about it. He just touched my skin. I wasn't offended. My friend thought I would be offended. I'm like, no, it's a kid. Never seen someone different, someone this color before, and then she touched my hair. I, just say, hey, you can continue touching me. It was weird, but I wasn't offended by it. I have this kind of racism, but not racism kind of experience. People staring at you. You get into the classroom, and everybody, instead of just focusing on the class, the monitor, everybody is looking at you differently. And when you talk, sometimes I don't. I try not to talk in the classroom because I have this strong accent when I first came. Everybody just listen, and it's different. It makes you feel weird about yourself. It was this touching. This people very curious about your accents. People, wanted to know about Africa. I'm like, I am not from other parts of Africa. I am from this small part of Africa. This weird questions that people are so curious. They think Africa is just this jungle place that people. I'm like, I bought a plane, came here. We have airports, we have all those things. Because my first apartment, the guy knows that I'm from Africa is telling me how the fridge work, how the lights work, how the oven work. I'm like, my uncle was a fucking president. I live in a fucking mansion, even in the Gambia. Sorry for my language. I know all these things. These things is all normal to me. But I understand it's fine. So I wasn't offended. I was offended by it a little bit, but I didn't show it to him. I'm like, yeah, definitely. Thank you for showing all these things to me. This is very helpful. Those things you navigate, you get to a point where it doesn't. I kind of look at it this way too. A lot of people, I don't know if you can call it racism in many ways. For me, I don't see it that way. I'm like, this person is ignorant about my culture. That's it. It's not their fault they're ignorant about something. It's just how they grew up in a different society than I did. So to say, well, I don't know what you experience in your culture or what you experience in your so I'm gonna tell you what everything in my house is operated. So I'm not gonna be. I was actually people say you should be so offended. I'm like, no, guy who is probably never seen a black person or probably never talked to a black person before.
After traveling this difficult journey, what words of wisdom would you share with our listeners?
Patient. Patient. Sarah, my wife said I sometimes I'm too patient. But patient is the reason why I am where I am. Wait for your turn. Wait for your opportunity. Sometimes it's frustrating to have patience because the people that you're patient with, sometimes they do certain things that you should not have patience for. I am where I am because of my ability to put everything in perspective, to put everything aside, and then just look at the have patience not just for yourself but for people. Some people are not going to be as fast as you. Some people are not going to learn as fast as you. Some people are not going to understand your culture as you do. Some people are not going to be even ignorant people. So I have a conversation with my wife sometimes. She will come to me with a situation that she faces either at work or other place, and she will expect me to kind of be on her side. But sometimes I have this thing in my head that how about I look at it on the other person's perspective? How about, even though I am on your side, but I'm gonna kind of have a conversation with you and then look at it from the person that you're dealing with, their side of the story. It doesn't work. But it's kind of and sometimes it's good in my area, sometimes it's not. I have this way of being patient in anything that I do. Give people space to get to where you are. Sometimes people are going to be fast to get to where you are. Sometimes people are going to take time to get to where you are. You are not going to. They're not going to get there. You always need to think about it. Sometimes they will take a long time. They might never even get to your place. But it's okay to give them that opportunity. I could be like, how dare you? All these things. But I I had this patience to wait for her, to talk to her, to say, imagine you don't know this person. Imagine you never met this person. But you hear them talk about certain things that is different from who they are as a gay person. You know, I keep talking to my I kept at it. Took me about a few years for my mom to say, you know what, I understand this gay, this community a bit better, than before. And that's the thing that I will always do, that spirit. They know. So,
Thank you for sharing your wisdom about patience. It seems that having moved between so many cultures and so many different ways of doing things and so many different points of view, you've learned more profoundly than most of us how much people need patience and space to come to understand each other and see new perspectives and sort of mesh ways of looking at things. And I'm going to carry that advice, your wisdom forward with me. Thank you so much for it.
yeah. Thank you guys. Having me to talk about, sometimes it's difficult to talk about these things that leave with so much pain and emotions came out. It's nice sometimes to talk about it. And then you have a kid now who you try to teach how to be patient. he wants something, he wants it now. It's like, I want ice cream. I want ice cream now. So you have to kind of talk to him. Okay, we're gonna have ice cream, but we're gonna have ice cream when we do this and do this and do that. Then we can have ice cream.
Alagie, thank you so much for sharing your powerful vulnerability with us today. Thank you for sitting in powerful vulnerability with us today. I'm Dr. Ashley.
And I'm Catherine.
Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast as your preferred app allows.
See you on the next episode.
Thank you for sitting in powerful vulnerability with us today. I'm Dr. Ashley.
And I'm Catherine.
Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast as your preferred app allows.
See you on the next episode.